Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Konich-Yeehaw podcast. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Jared.
And today we are going to be talking about sports animes.
Yes.
Yes.
And I want to start this out by saying I do not watch a lot of sports anime.
Yes. I've seen a couple of the mainstream ones and a couple of not as mainstream ones, but I definitely wouldn't say that, like, it's my go-to genre.
Yeah. Like, I'll put it this way. I say that I don't watch, I don't watch sports anime, but I've probably watched like 10.
Mm-hmm.
But disclaimer, none of those have been like the super mainstream ones. I've never seen Haikyuu. I've never seen Kuroko no Basket. Never seen Free.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch those ones.
Right. Yes. So, just to get right into it, we can talk about what makes a sport anime a sport anime. Obviously, a sport is involved.
Yes.
Right. And usually the plot either centers around somebody who's new to the sport or someone who is just maybe already knows about it, maybe has been doing it for a while and is just trying to get better.
Yeah. I'd say really okay. So I'd say there's really two types of sports anime. Mm-hmm. There's like the solo sports anime, like a solo sport, like boxing.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like the team sport, like volleyball.
Right.
And they have a lot of overlaps. Like whether a character is a beginner or whether they're a pro.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say just from my experience, that a lot of the solo, let me think about this for a second.
Okay.
So I think it's more likely that the solo, participant sports anime will have someone that's already experienced in it.
Okay.
While the like group sport, a lot of the times it'll have like, here's the new person learning this sport from someone else
with the team.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I have written down is so from solo, a lot of times they'll have either I'm already good at this, I'm getting better, or they'll have the like nothing to top. Mm-hmm. Then solo typically has a rival. Someone that either they go against a lot or like is just like egging them on. Mm-hmm. And solo, it's like the power of self.
Right.
So like they draw up their inner confidence and things like that. You know, they gain inner strength as well as their outer strength.
Right.
While opposed to a team sport, usually at least one of the characters, if not all of them, is like a seasoned veteran. Mm-hmm. And that's like who they learned from. There's not really a rival. There can be a rival team, but usually it's more who are we going against this week? Yeah. And it's the power of friendship.
Yes, the power of friendship is everything. Mm-hmm. That's how you get better.
Right.
Right? As a team.
Right.
Right.
Which I think is really interesting. Because like, I mean, that's shown also in superhero shows. Right. But it's almost something kind of unique to team sports anime.
Right. Because it's with any sort of like group anime where there's not just a main character, there's like a main group, right? Usually the focus of that is to get better at something, right? Whether it's sports or I don't know, idol, dancing, like it could be anything, but usually if you're in a group of people, your focus is to get better at something.
Right.
So I think that makes it a lot of fun to watch, like, because I like seeing people get better at things. Like, personally, I think it's fun. And also I like, well, no, I shouldn't say that I like sports. I'm not a huge sports person, but I do like the way that sports can be animated. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. There are definitely some really really unique shots to sports anime. kind of like it's kind of like fighting anime, like where well, okay. So they definitely have like their like hit shots. Like it'll be like a smash move or some shit like that.
Super dramatic.
Yeah.
The drama of the sport, right, is really played up in anime.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And okay, that's something that like I said, I haven't watched a lot of sports anime, and so I could be totally wrong by this. But like I don't necessarily see the like super move anymore. So like some older sports anime, oh my gosh, I meant to write this show down but I forgot to. It's probably like the most well-known sports anime. It's super old. It's a soccer anime.
Okay.
They have like statues of the main character like around Japan. Like super popular.
All right.
But each character has their own like special move, and it's like ridiculous shit. It's not just like I kick really hard. It's like I'm doing like a backflip and like flames are coming out and you know shit like that.
Right.
And like they had stuff like that more in like older anime. Not as much anymore. I almost feel like it's a little more realistic now.
Right.
Do you like that? Or would you prefer to have more ridiculous's in it? I
think that there's still enough drama in it that I'm actually okay with it, because everything is you still have the dramatic like slow motion, the characters having this whole dialogue while something that literally lasts like maybe 2 seconds is actually happening. So I mean, I still think it's exciting even without that much craziness in it.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
So something that kind of like everything that we've talked about so far, something that merges them all together, the solo, the team, the super moves, is Blue Lock. It's an anime that's airing right now.
Yeah, we talked about it in our last episode.
Yes, we did.
I'm really into it. I'm getting really invested in soccer for some reason.
Hey, it's super coincidental or I don't know if it's coincidental or not, that it's airing at the same time as the World Cup.
Right.
And if you guys haven't watched our last episode or don't know about Blue Lock, basically it's a soccer anime where it's soccer Squid Games. So they've gathered all of the best high school soccer players, and they're trying to make the best striker for Japan's World Cup team or national team,
right?
So that they can win the World Cup. And they do like real insane stuff to these kids. Yeah,
and nobody's dying, but they won't get to play soccer professionally in Japan.
Yeah,
which like they might as well be dying. So
basically, because these kids, like, soccer is everything to them.
Yeah, like their whole goal was to be on the national team.
Right.
At some point in their career. So it's pretty intense. A lot of crazy things are happening. A lot of drama, betrayal.
Yes.
Just real crazy things are happening. So basically what once again makes this a little bit more unique to what, especially team sport animes are, is that while soccer is a team sport, and you do have to like have some sort of cooperation with a team, it is very much focused on the person. So the whole point of doing Blue Lock is to have these kids find their ego and kind of weaponize it in a way so that they can just be so confident in soccer. It's almost like there's like a lack of confidence in the players on the field, and that's what Ego, which is the name of a character also.
Yes.
Ego is the name of the character who creates Blue Lock. Ego wants more Japanese soccer players to have bigger egos on the field.
Right.
Which means that he wants them to care more about themselves and how they look. So scoring more, just being like a star, essentially, being the face of a team. So in that sense, it's really independent. And even within the team, the players are competing against each other.
Right.
Which also has like a lot of friction. and it's all very dramatic.
Yeah, it's really interesting, especially because like, so in the current like plot, they have to make a team. They have to function as a team. So they have to use that like, you know, power of friendship, like stuff right now. Like, but they also are getting scored as individuals. And so like their different scoring that they have, like they get better food, they get treated better, things like that.
Right.
And so they're all like still aiming to be like
the best,
the number one, you know, the main character.
Yeah,
they're all aiming to be the main character.
Yes, it's not good enough just to be like the best team. You have to be the best player.
Right.
So.
And also something interesting about this is that something that I think is very unique to this is that kind of with the main, I mean, the main character could kind of fall into the nothing to top category, like, but they're all like peak veteran players.
They're all very good soccer players.
Yeah. And so, like, there's no one to, like, super learn from because they already know what they're good at.
Yes.
I mean, the main character, the only reason why I was like, he doesn't exactly, like, he's, like, the only one that doesn't super fall into the like, veteran player is because while he was, like, the star player on his team, he didn't know, like, what was good about him.
Right.
And so, like, he did learn, like, okay, this is what my star quality is.
Yes, this is what my strength is. This is how I need to use it. Things like that.
Yeah. And so, now that he does know, though, every character is, like, the veteran character.
Right.
Which is super interesting.
Everybody's just great. Yeah.
And one thing about sports anime is that, like, they have to teeter-totter between, like, here's the sport.
Right.
But we also need character development.
Right.
So we have to talk about, like, here's the characters going to get ice cream and, like, stuff like that.
Yes, right.
And so some anime lean more on the sports side and explaining, like, okay, here's how the sport is played.
Right.
While others lean more on the, like, daily life side and are like, okay, like the sport is just like the sport is there, right? It's just kind of done though, like it's something that they just kind of do.
Yes. Yes, I was gonna say that I think that those types of animes are definitely like, I want to say they're kind of geared towards a different crowd.
I agree.
Like,
I fully
honestly
agree.
Because so I also haven't seen Haikyuu, but I know that Haikyuu is pretty volleyball. Like like they talk about volleyball a lot, like technically. But then you say something like Free, which I did watch Free, and I can tell you that there is not actually a lot of swimming in Free. There's not a lot of explaining of swimming. The only time that they really explain swimming is whenever they get their new relay partner and they literally have to teach him how to swim.
Oh yeah.
And he does the butterfly stroke and they talk about like how that works. But the rest of the show is very much just, we're also in high school.
Yeah.
We're also in high school. And this is like our high school life. So, and I think that those just kind of like cater towards different audiences. Maybe ones that are more interested in, I don't like saying like more interested in characters. Because like I'm still very invested in the characters of like Blue Lock. Right. But it's, I mean, all they do is soccer.
Yeah, Blue Lock, the entire show is soccer. They have like no downtime.
Yeah. So
yeah. Which do you prefer though? More that leans on the daily life or more that leans on the sport?
I think that because I'm already not a sport person, I actually like learning about the sport.
Me too.
Right? So cuz I didn't know anything about soccer, and now I feel like I can kind of watch it, but only kind of. Yeah. Only kind of. I'm not claiming to. I've watched like 5 episodes of Blue Lock, and now I understand the sport of soccer. I'm not saying that, but
watches Blue Lock, watches soccer for the first time. This is just like Blue Lock.
This is just like Blue Lock. Exactly. That's exactly how I was. But I do like learning about it because I don't know anything about it, so. I think that animes that don't talk a lot about, like, sports animes that don't really talk about the sport, they're a little bit like, they're like just another anime.
Yeah, they lose the point. They lose the whole grasp of being a sports anime.
It's more like a slice of life at that point, especially since a lot of sports animes do follow high school kids.
Yeah.
And not like adult teams in any aspect. I mean, most of them are high school kids.
Right.
I should say that my idea of a sports anime is like a high school team or kid like learning sports. I don't really watch fighting anime.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what the demographic of that is.
So okay. Yeah, we'll go there. Okay, so actually, we'll get right back to that because I want to talk about my thing first. Like I want to answer my
Okay.
I want to answer first. We'll get right back to that because I do have something written down for that.
Okay.
I also prefer having like the sport explained to me, and that's why I watch more like of the obscure sports.
Yes.
Like so there's a show called Hanabado. It's about badminton. And I'm like, that's crazy. They made an anime about badminton. And then I learned about badminton.
Right.
And like the different types of like hits and like different players and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, this is so crazy. You got me into badminton. Now I want to play badminton.
Right.
Or like Hinamaru Zumo. It's a sumo anime. And like they're like high schoolers, but they like go and train with like adult sumo wrestlers. Like they teach you about the hierarchy of sumo, and I'm like, this is crazy. I want to be a sumo wrestler now. And then this one, it was so out of left field. I was like, this is crazy. It's called Shakunetsu Kabaddi. I had never heard of kabaddi before. It's I think it's like a South Asian sport.
Right.
Like I never heard of that before. And now there's an entire anime about it.
Yeah.
And like they talk about like the different players on the team, like the different positions. And I'm like, I've never even heard of this before. This is so crazy, like something to learn. Because like I kind of see this this is gonna sound like super otaku, like super weeby.
Okay.
Like, I love learning about things in an anime setting way more than like any other setting.
Right.
So like,
it needs entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like, give me like a, I don't know, like a, for example, like shoot, I can't even remember, but like a DIY like
a guide or like
a DIY like TV show on like the Home Network or something like that. You know, they're like, okay, you know, and here we hammer in the nails and like here's the finished product.
Right.
But then give me a DIY anime. Give me a DIY anime. And I'm like, wow, this is
guiding
great.
Holes.
The guiding holes. And like, oh my god. Like, it's so like nerdy, but like I just love being taught by anime opposed to like other things.
Right. Makes sense. Like I said, like I mean, it is entertainment and it's also more visual, more like aesthetically appealing.
Right. But on fighting anime.
Yes.
Okay. So typical fighting anime are like aimed towards like, I'd say boys between the ages of like 15 and up. And so like it depends on what kind of fighting anime you're talking about, because like super fighting anime, they have like their special moves and like superpowers and stuff like that, which that can be aimed at like, you know, any age range. Right. You know, think like your typical shonen, like Dragon Ball and like things like that. But see, this is one thing that I was interested about. So there are like martial arts anime,
right?
So in martial arts anime, they talk about like the different martial arts styles.
Mm-hmm.
Is that considered a sport anime?
Yeah, I think it is. Like, which is why I was saying that I do consider that a sports anime. It's just not one that I know about.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I mean. I can see like when I say fighting, I mean like boxing, MMA, martial arts. I can see those kind of animes maybe being aimed towards a more older audience, which is why I think that would make it different than most of these other sports animes, which are just like shonen, kind of made for everybody, like age wise.
Right. So I agree. Boxing is definitely like a sports anime, but okay. So I was doing a little bit of research, and whenever you look up like sports anime, Baki the Grappler comes up.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a sport.
Baki, it's like it's a martial arts anime. Its tag on my anime list, one of its tags is like, I think it's like combat sport.
Right.
As one of its tag. But by that definition, would Tekken Bloodlines also be a sports anime? Because it follows the same, here is a group of mixed martial arts fighters that are in a tournament arc.
Right. I think that what makes it a little different is the supernatural that's in Tekken.
Yeah.
Like, even outside of it being a video game adaptation, I think because Tekken is supernatural, it probably isn't on quite the same level.
Okay. But it still falls within the same.
It is a combat anime.
Yes, it is a combat sport
where there is a tournament.
There's a tournament where it's different people using different real life fighting styles.
Yes, but there's also like lightning.
Yeah, that's true.
It's also lightning and fire and stuff.
Okay, so do you remember The God of High School? We watched it a couple seasons back. It was.
I don't think I watched it.
You didn't?
No.
I swear you watched it with me.
No.
Okay. So it is a... You kind of answered this question then for me. So it is a fighting tournament MMA anime. And I was also going to bring up then that isn't considered a it doesn't have a tag for combat sport on my anime list. And it does have some supernatural, like later into the show it does have some supernatural things, so I guess that's what really makes it. But so like it's just interesting,
Yeah, it's interesting how like fighting is what becomes the weird gray line.
Yes, because so none of them have like the sports tag to it, but all of them, like, my anime list is pretty thorough in their tagging system, so they all have the martial arts tag.
Okay. Yeah.
So like for like MMA and maybe boxing, I don't know about boxing, but for like mixed martial arts, like fighting tournaments like this, I would put them under like a martial arts tag before I would put them in like a sports tag.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Because the thing with Baki is that there's some ridiculous stuff in it.
Right,
like there's stuff that is like humans cannot physically do this.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, but it's not like spirits and like lightning and stuff though. So I guess it doesn't fall into this like supernatural tag.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Well, do you like sports anime?
I do, and I think that everybody should try a sports anime. I think there's a lot of good ones out there, and I think everyone can find one that they like.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Even if they are, because it's such a vast category. There are so many different highs and lows, and
the highs and lows of anime football.
Yes, the epic highs and lows of sports anime. And yeah, I think it's I think a lot of them are also like good starter animes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, if you want Free to be your starter anime,
It can
one
be.
of the animes that you first get into.
Haikyuu can. Free can. Yeah. Yuri on Ice Can. Like, all of those are good animes. So, yeah. I think that's it.
Yep, that's it for today.
Yes, so thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Konich-Yeehaw podcast. I am Natalie.
And I'm Jared.
And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Yeehaw!
Yeehaw!